Hastro World, welcome back to another episode of Hastrobros. NBA season is back, and your boys back in town to have some fun, talk some NBA. When the week come, every single week, people, we can try to be here with you guys to talk about what happened in the week that had just passed. Catch us every Sunday, people. We might even bump up the amount of times that you see us during the week. So just stay tuned for those announcements. We happy to be back. Rayvon, it's good to see you, my
It's
brother.
good.
How's
It's good
life,
to see
man?
you too, my brother. We've been gone for too long. the people been
Yo,
the people been asking for us, so we here
bro,
to
I didn't
deliver.
even want to stop. I honestly did not want to
Yeah,
stop.
man.
But hey,
You know.
sometimes you gotta take a break to reassess and
Yes.
come back strong, better than
No.
ever, and start
Exactly.
start to get things on the roll. So it's good to be here.
Yeah. Good to be
Peoples,
here.
yeah, Hakim couldn't be here. Cody couldn't be here due to some circumstances. We might see Cody later, who knows? But we looking to have a good time today. The boys are back, people. The boys are back, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah. Shout out to
And
all the new subscribers. We had
yo,
a bunch
we
of new
up.
subscribers over the past couple of months. Shout out to you if you tune into the show for the first time today. We hope that we could put on a great show for you, and it keeps you coming back for more and more. So looking forward
Yeah,
to
hopefully we can ruffle some feathers too, so that you can come back to see what we got to say
yeah,
about stuff. But
it's true.
yeah, like honestly, bro, I am excited for this season of NBA. A lot of stuff going on in F1 too at the moment, and we got some UFC stuff that we'll touch on as time goes on and progress. We will also cover the FIFA World Cup this year
Yeah.
coming up in November, so people stay tuned. If you're a football lover, we call it football, we don't call it soccer, sorry. But if you're a football lover, tune in. We can definitely got some riveting points that you guys could, sit down, listen, and enjoy, or even clap back at in the comments. Who knows? But we're looking forward to an exciting season. So, without any further ado, peoples, let me hop in to this season. Excited. Right, on. Overall talk so far about what you've seen over the last week of NBA.
Boy, we began too far ahead of yourself. The off season on the whole was just a whole set of drama. You know, we touched a little bit. That was part of our last episodes with Kevin
Yeah,
Durant requesting the trade and everything. But leading up to that, a whole set of drama. But it turned out he didn't get to get the trade request as he would have expected. But
right.
nonetheless, we got the start of the season. This first week has been, usual first weeks. A bunch of
Yeah,
overreactions. Some teams that you expected to get a better start to the season than than you would think, and some teams that should be tanking in the Wembanyama sweepstakes, but winning instead.
yeah,
And shout out to Jazz fans if any of the Jazz fans listening. So it's been a whirlwind, and usually how the season start. So, but as it progresses, the better teams will continue to emerge, and things will settle down. You
yeah,
will really get a good look at how the landscape of each conference is shaping up.
yeah. And to that point, some teams have picked up where they left off as well. Like
Yeah.
some teams who are at top remain at top. Some teams who are at bottom still
Hmm.
at bottom. But like you say, we gotta give it a little time, a few more weeks to see how the teams are going to eventually settle down, and I guess reach a point where we can start making better predictions on some of these games. A lot of basketball to play, people. It's
Yeah.
only 1 week in, so
Exactly.
yeah,
Most teams only played about 3 games at max, maybe. So we got a whole
yeah,
79 plus games to go. So a lot of season at
exactly.
stake. So yeah, excited to dive into what we got for the in store for this season.
Yeah,
Truthfully.
nice, nice. People, your boy Ray was the king of predictions, and like last year, he made a prediction before the season started about the teams that he thought would make it either in the playoffs or in playing tournaments and stuff like that. So I want to hear from you. Let's break down your predictions that you posted on Instagram. Another thing, people, if you haven't followed us on Instagram, follow us on Instagram. But yeah, Raymond, go ahead and break down your predictions and why you chose certain teams in certain positions.
All right. So off the rip. So we have let's start at the bottom. Give a little bit of anticipation leading up. we know these teams at the bottom. So right now we can start with the Eastern Conference, and we have the Hornets. That might be a surprise to a lot of people. The Hornets, I believe, will end up in the last position, the 15th position in the Eastern Conference coming this year. Why, you may ask? LaMelo Ball is hurt right now. I don't know how long he's going to be out. He has a questionable timetable for a return, and I just don't think they have any cohesion or any mix of talent. And me realize, hey, it might be best for me to just tank for Wembanyama. That is my prediction for the season, and I sticking with it. Whoever want to fight with me, put it in the comments. Put it in the comments
Put
on
it in the
Instagram.
comments. So we
Put
got
it in the
some
chat.
fireworks.
Anywhere. But I think that the Hornets will be in the Wembanyama sweepstakes, contrary to what most people may think.
Hmm.
The next the next team,
What's
the
the injury
Pacers.
though?
I think he has some sprain. I think it might be an ankle sprain or anything.
Mhm.
Pretty sure he may be able to make it back. It's a long season, probably sometime next year or anything like that. Once he's good to go,
Yeah.
but I just don't see that they have. They don't have any direction to me, and I feel like they might be better off just selling off their good players to better teams and going in a full blown tank. Obviously excluding Lamelo, so he can get some talent to build around him, and make some runs in the future, but just not right now. And they had a lot of turmoil with Miles Bridges with his legal issues outside of basketball. Um,
Yeah.
they even had one of their second year players with some legal issues. Just seemed like a whole set of confusion. It might be best for them to take a reset. They may win a few games now, but I feel like the organization will take a direction to tank a little bit, get some better players from the draft, and go forward from there. Uh,
Great.
the next team on the list is the Pacers. Pacers are committed to a full blown rebuild. I don't expect them to win a lot of good games. They have a great player in Tyrese Halliburton, and they picked up this great rookie. I don't know if you heard of him, Benedict Mathurin, playing exceptional
Um,
basketball to start the season. Uh, he thinks that he's one of the best players in the world from the draft. He's one of those guys that says something about he think he's the best player and he don't know anything about LeBron. He got wait and see. He will go wait and see when he
yeah,
actually plays LeBron. But he thinks that he's one of the best, and so far throughout the season, he's
that's a
he's
good
shown
mindset to
yeah
have.
he's shown that he's a productive player, and I hope it keeps it for him. Exciting player to watch. The Magic next, also a team that committed to a rebuild. They got Paulo Banchero. Paulo Banchero already is looking nice, but they're not. We don't see they haven't won a game for the season so far. 0-3 to start. Yes, the season is early,
Mhm.
but that is a path that they're going to be set on, going on throughout the season, trying to get more talent, and I don't see them, elevating, or I don't see Paulo putting himself in a position to elevate them more than we expect them to be. You know. Next team we have is Detroit Pistons. The Pistons, also another team that was rebuilding, a poor record last year. They're banking on their players to get better internally, which I think they would. They could pick up a nice rookie in Jaden Ivey this offseason in the draft. Um, Another team for the future. I don't think there's much needed to be said. This is a future team. The
Yeah.
Wizards. Now this is a team that has some players that have been in the league for a couple of years. They're not a team full of rookies. I would call them a team of good role players, mostly along with Bradley Beal. But again, given how competitive the East is this year, I don't see how or where do which teams do I put below them, because coming up in the playing and the playoff section that we have on the screen here, I can't see myself putting them ahead of any of these teams. They will have to prove it throughout the
Right.
season, but I just generally can't. They have some decent players, but I don't think they're players that will take them to that level. Um, we would just have to see. They would have to be a team that surprises this year, truthfully. But I just think the teams ahead of them are just better. With that
Yeah.
said, we could go straight into the Knicks. The Knicks had a lot of commotion and a lot of buzz going around them.
Hmm.
Signing Jalen Brunson as a free agent. Jalen Brunson coming from the Mavs last year, doing his thing in the playoffs when Luka was out. Got a lot of recognition
Yeah.
from that time. But for me, I don't think is as big a needle mover for them to warrant them being further up in the standings in the East. The teams
Right.
again, same thing for here. The teams ahead of
Yeah.
them are better. What could take them a step above is RJ Barrett, but I'm a little bit hot and cold on RJ Barrett ascension and well his there of ascension so far in his career.
Hmm.
Um,
And you
everyone
still cool on Randall as well.
Randall is cool. I think truthfully speaking, Julius Randall is the only reason that may limit the Knicks' success. I believe
Hmm.
his one All Star appearance was an outlier in his career. I
Right.
don't think that he'd be able to replicate it again until he could show me signs of that throughout the season. I just can't believe it, truthfully,
Not
because
convinced.
coming from a player that wasn't a great jump shooter and became an All Star based off a great mid range jump shooting, I don't see it carrying over to other seasons. And
Yeah.
the Knicks have invested heavily in him, and I don't see how they can, you know, recoup that at the moment. But he's not the player of their future. Truthfully, in my opinion, they would need to get rid of him and pair R.J. Barrett and Jalen Brunson with a different star level player, so that they can have a better outlook for their future. In my opinion. Um, Moving up from there, we got the Bulls. This might be a little bit low for Bulls people. DeMar
Yeah.
DeRozan with a unusual peak in his career, coming later on into his career. Um, Zach Levine was out with an injury to start the season. I think he played the last game that they had recently. But health seems to be an issue that's plaguing this Bulls team, and I think it will be a continual problem throughout the season. We already don't have a timetable for return for Lonzo Ball. Uh, he's been fighting with this
It's a
injury since
sign.
last year, yeah, and every year
Yeah.
is the same thing with Lonzo Ball. Sadly to say, but that has been their story. Vucevic is getting older. He's not getting younger. And last year he had a rough year shooting the basketball. I don't know what resurgence he will have. I can only presume further regression this year. DeMar DeRozan has been impressive already for the season. Uh, Again, I think it may be wrong for me to say it, but I don't think he'll be able to carry this team as he did last year, as much
Hmm.
as he did. Not to say that Zach Levine didn't contribute, but he, DeMar DeRozan was the focal point for that team. I don't think
Yeah.
they win as many games as it if they don't get that, and I don't think that they will get all of that from DeMar this year. If he does,
How about Caruso?
so be it. Caruso is a great basketball player, but he is
Yeah.
not a star player. He is a great role player.
Right.
Um,
Nice.
so he will go as the team goes, and I don't think he doesn't have that big of an impact to sway this a large number of wins. I would say the best way to put it.
Right. Right.
Moving up to the Hawks. The Hawks with a new acquisition in DeJounte Murray, already putting up loads of assists with Trey Young already on the floor. That's exciting to
Mhm.
see.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much the same team. I I find it hard to say that DeJounte Murray is such a big needle mover to move the Hawks from where they were last year and put them, let's say, in the top five or something like that. You
Right.
got a lot of other things that go wrong. Yes, he patches a hole that is evident in their offensive and defensive makeup. But
I think you skipped the Raptors, by the way.
oh, the
But yeah,
Raptors!
go
Oh my
ahead.
God, yes, I did. I did. Coming back to your Raptors, uh,
Go
right?
ahead.
Sorry. So the Raptors, the Raptors, the Raptors are an interesting team, built on the premise of having multiple two-way wings, and gritty defensive team. The coach is a mastermind in terms of using the players that he has at hand. I think that just with that alone would get them a spot. They may not have the best of talent, but they have the makeup of what wins in the NBA right now. Two-way players, big wing players that could defend, stretch the floor, and do it all type of players. And once that comes together as a group, then things can happen. They may even surprise us and get further up in the standings. But I put them here because I think that there are a couple of teams that has better talent, that has some more cohesion or assumed cohesion going into the season, and yeah, I think they'll be fine, but we got a lot more talent ahead. Um,
Yeah.
back to the
Peoples, wait a second.
Mhm.
We got to break because of circumstances and technical issues. So give us a second and we'll hop back on quickly. Peoples, we are back. We're not going to waste any time. Right, on hop right back into you're talking about Raptors.
Right. Pretty much as I said, a team built of what is desired in the NBA. Some lone players that can switch defensively, shoot threes. Have cohesion on the defensive end, be able to play multiple defensive coverages. They got a great coach, so they are what we would call a
Pretty
wild
good in
card
the
team.
paint too.
Yeah, exactly, a wild card team. They could go from anywhere between 8 up to, I would say, about 4. Um, Even though they don't have the top end talent, I would say, right? We were talking about the Hawks earlier too. Again, the Jonathan Murray, I don't think that he's as big of a needle mover that the Hawks will need to take them higher into the standings. Uh,
Right.
he patches some holes for them defensively. Takes care of Trey Young to some extent being exposed on defense. Um, but again, I don't think he's that big of a needle mover for the Hawks team from last year. They were lost some players also. Um, Outside of that, it's pretty much the same team. They would have to get some big steps from, well, not really John Collins, but DeAndre Hunter. I would say he's a needle mover for them in the ceiling of their team. I feel like if they do eclipse the 7th spot in the East, they probably may go as high as 4. I can't see them any higher than that, truthfully.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the top six
Cleveland,
teams, the
top
playoff teams.
six.
Cleveland, big trade of the summer. Getting Donovan Mitchell, sending out Laurie
Mm,
Markkinen and some other players. Uh, Already it looks like the dividends have been paying off. Uh, Donovan Mitchell leaded them to two wins already for the season.
mm,
Sad news with Darius Garner getting hurt already for the season.
mhm.
He got some contusion or whatever you would call it, some
Yeah.
injury. So he's going to be out. We don't know how long. But already bad news for Cavs. But they do have the talent available to weather the storm. Be banking
Yeah.
on a improvement from Evan Mobley from year one to year two. Uh,
Mhm.
I could see it happening, maybe not as much offensively, but more defensively. And the backcourt that he's going to be playing with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland are going to be an issue defensively, I believe. But they have that front court with Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley to cover for it, and
Yeah.
I think that would, you know, equal to a lot of wins, providing that Darius Garland isn't out for too long, and they are able to, mesh well as the season goes on. So I got
Right.
some big expectations for them. I believe that they could go a little bit further up in the standings, depending on how well this new addition works. And I think that it will work well because of Donovan Mitchell's offensive prowess. He having a big guy to screen for him, get him downhill to the basket, getting him open for trees, all that sort of stuff, the same stuff that Darius Garland benefited from, and just on a whole, having another offensive option outside of Darius Garland makes wonders for this Cavs team that did pretty well last year, even with Darius Garland as their main offensive weapon.
Right. And
So
Allen too. Allen, I think, would play a good part in the team.
yeah, for sure. Defensively, I don't know how much more room he has to grow offensively, but
Right.
defensively for sure, locking down, challenging every shot that there is, whether it's a dunk, whether it's not. Jared Allen is there on the defensive end for sure.
Yeah.
What might be a little bit controversial in the standings, the Brooklyn Nets at number 5. I think a lot of persons may predict them to be a lot lower because of the turmoil that happened in the off season.
Yeah.
Kyrie looking to get traded to the Lakers, KD looking to get out of the Nets on a whole, and say I don't see how this team could work. They just got a lot of talent, a lot of shooting. I think their offense will carry them. Truthfully, once they settle in, find the cohesion, because there has been a lot of turnover in terms of the roster, and
Yeah.
adding in Ben Simmons and Royce
And
O'Neal.
finally land on the basketball court.
Yeah,
Talking about hiatus. That's
it's
one
true.
for
It's
sure.
true. Getting back Ben Simmons, incorporating Royce O'Neal, which is he's not a main offensive call, but just on the defensive end. Uh, I think that getting back Joe Harris, getting back um, Seth Curry, they just got a lot of shooters on their team, a lot of wings, but the problem will be defense. I feel like
I
they
was
have
gonna say.
such a big
Yeah.
offense. Like their offensive power is, I feel like, overthrows the defensive limitations that they have.
Yeah.
Not to say that it shouldn't be a concern going into the season, but I feel like they can manage it enough that they're at least decent on defense, but extremely
Right.
good on offense because Kyrie, KD, Joe Harris, Seth Curry, like
And yeah.
Patty Mills on the
Body.
team
Yeah.
too, like 3 point shooting galore, and then you got Ben Simmons. Yes, he's not a great offensive player in scoring for himself, but a great offensive player in assisting the teams. I think that he could do a lot of work there. He's going to need, even though he's a great defensive player, he's going to need some help. Hopefully, Royce O'Neal could help in those situations, or they go in free agency and find some people that could pass some holes defensively. Uh, I think it's going to be a great season for them, despite the turmoil. And I feel like they could overcome all the stuff that happened in the off season to come towards a common goal of winning the championship. And that's what it's
Yeah.
all about when it's all said and done.
I think that for Nets, if they could just boost their defense a little bit, I think they could compete with Heat and Celtics. If they could just boost that a little bit. But from what I saw so far
Hmm.
from the Brooklyn Nets, I don't think that their offensive power will be able to like be sustained throughout the season.
Mm,
We saw it last time where their defense really killed them in a lot of games.
mhm,
Even though um Kyrie will put up a lot of points, Kevin Durant will hit a lot of shots,
mhm.
it still wasn't enough. And I
Yeah,
feel like that is on the verge of repeat if they don't fix their defense soon.
yeah. I can see what you're saying. I totally agree that that's the biggest concern right now. I don't think they have a concern on offense really.
Right.
Finding a way to remedy the defense, I think Kevin Durant is going to have to put more effort into being a defensive player on the team. Also, even though he's expected to be a great one on a 19 night out basis for the team.
Yeah.
So Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving also, even though Kyrie is not known as a stopper, but he has to play a role in setting the defensive tone for the team, and you know getting what you can out of the personnel that you have. Like a lot of defense is about want to. So
Yeah.
if you put the heart in it, you could you could be a pest defensively, even though you may not have the greatest defensive talent. But
I think Clarkson is what you're describing. Like you have to want to defend.
yeah,
You know what I mean? But I feel like sometimes these guys look so lazy
hmm,
when it comes to the defense that it's not that it's impossible. It's just that they don't got the will to defend like other
yeah,
teams.
yeah. Well, yeah. I think that's a good way to put it right now. But when they realize that the defense is what is going to hold them up throughout the season and the playoffs, I believe that they will have some level of buy-in to focus to lock in on defense somewhere, even though they're limited defensive with defensive talent. They gotta find some way to to do it, or else this could be the end of the season for them early.
Your
I would
question
say.
is very, very important,
Right.
which is
Yeah.
Next team, the Miami Heat. I think people always sleep on the Heat, and then boom, they're the first seed, or then boom, they're the second seed, or boom, them in the NBA
Yeah.
Finals. And I try not to do the same. Truthfully, in this specific case, the Heat always find a way. They have that culture behind them. Find players that were undrafted or not even in the league, and just shape them into players that are contributing, productive players on their team. So what? No matter whatever happens, last year the Heat had a bunch of their star players over injury and still end up eh, being in the top four. So
Mhm.
I could see the same thing happening again. That's from excellent coaching, excellent organizational structure, and I think that foundation alone will prop them up to win a lot of games, along with the talent that they already have, presuming their health. You know.
So I have a question. Like,
Hmm.
why wouldn't you put them further up? Considering, well, I guess we'll have to assume that they'll be a healthier team from last year. But considering the points that you
Hmm.
made just now, like
Hmm.
they've had a lot of injuries and stuff like that last year. Why wouldn't you put them ahead of Celtics? Let's say.
I think the problem with the Heat is offensive consistency.
Hmm.
Jimmy Butler, especially during the regular season, doesn't really. I don't know. I find I can say that he doesn't really give it his all for the regular season, and I think that the season is going to be more competitive than they would think, and he will need to to provide more of an offensive punch in order to do so. I don't know how consistent that offensive punch from Jimmy Butler will be because I just feel like he drifts sometimes, especially during the regular season, and that has been a habit of his from the time he's been with the Heat. Um, he would have to, psych up himself to lock in so that he could be a consistent offensive player and not rely truthfully on. I would say Tyler Hero is more of their offensive stalwart throughout the season when compared to all
Right.
the other players on the team. Uh, maybe that's because he's not. Maybe that's the only thing that I see because he's not that great of a defender. But truthfully, when all goes south, they'd usually just turn to Tyler Hero and he would usually provide buckets because that's what he does. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't think that they have the luxury of that this year, given how tough the East is. Uh, so that is why I wouldn't put them further ahead because I don't think their offensive talent is as good as the other teams. Truthfully speaking, But on the defensive end, they got it right there. They're gonna be a top five defense more than likely, based on the personnel that they have around it. They did lose PJ
Mhm.
Tucker also. That is another factor
Yeah.
to one of the other teams ahead of them. So I would automatically assume that PJ Tucker's addition to a better team, to another
Mm.
team ahead of them would
I see
would
what
drop
you're
them
saying.
back a little bit.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, okay. I see what
yeah,
you're
yeah,
doing
yeah.
is no, no. Okay, but we can get to it. We can get to it. Go ahead. Celtics,
Celtics.
a boss team overall. Defense and offense got
Hmm.
really far. Give them props.
Yeah,
So yeah,
the Celtics just have clicked from last season. They turned a lot. They turned it this year, I would say. Uh, and I just think that that will continue, even though they're missing Robert Williams, even though the Udoka situation, they still have a cohesive unit. Jason Tatum is elevating. I think that he will be in consideration for MVP this year. No, I don't have two thoughts about it, and I'm a little bit
mhm,
unsure why that doesn't seem to be a more common consensus. Jalen Brown continuing to improve his game also, and those two have found a way to not be let it be like a his turn my turn, but have found a way to coexist in terms of producing at the same time on the court. So
yeah.
far for the season, they've both produced pretty much mirroring each other in points. On a per game basis, except for last night. Jalen Brown had a stinker of a game, I would say. Not good shooting performance. But those will happen throughout the season.
Yeah.
Uh, Defensively, strong defensively, even though they're missing their defensive anger. I I will say though, this is where I would have put them a little bit down in the standings instead of being a number one seed. There'd be times where they'll miss Robert Williams. He was truthfully the center of their defense, both literally and figuratively. Um,
Yeah.
I think him missing time will pull them back a little bit defensively. So I feel that they may drop a game or a couple games or two where he would have been the difference maker. So I would have put them back on that end.
Yeah.
But they could easily go all the way up to number one, anywhere between 3 and 1 as the season progresses. If they get back Robert Williams, or other ways, truthfully,
Mhm.
or find another center somewhere that could provide some things that he does or anything like that. Uh,
Right.
the Bucks, the Bucks got Giannis. Full stop. I gotta say Giannis has to be regarded as the best player in the NBA right now. There's a man with a lot of heart. Maybe not as much skill as people think, but he's figured out his way to be one of the best players in the NBA. With
Effective is
yes,
what you need.
yes,
Yeah.
and efficient, and he figured out what works for him, and you can't
Yeah.
stop it. That's the thing about it. A very
Yeah.
dominant player, great heart, great energy, and the Bucks have been a cohesive unit for a little while now. Pretty much the same
Mhm.
players, just a few tweaks here and there, and
Yeah.
that cohesion will carry on. Yes, they're missing Chris Middleton. They miss Chris
Still.
Middleton. Yep, and I don't know
Oh,
how long he's going to be out either. They're going to need him for the playoffs, but for the
for
regular
sure.
season, they have a
Yeah.
good enough cohesive team, good enough coach to manufacture wins as the season going, and a good enough player. I would say number one player in the league right now with Giannis.
Yeah, but we need Chris Middleton to come back sooner than the
Yeah,
playoffs
true.
because
Yeah,
they
to
need to
build. Yeah,
figure out
yeah,
that
yeah,
cohesion between
yeah.
the team. So
Understood.
yeah,
And
we wish him well, man, because we would like to see Bucks back
mhm.
like close to the top again. So yeah,
Number one seed, they have the 76ers. Now, this may look counter-intuitive given how the Sixers have started their season. But my
but if they
rationale,
were listening,
eh,
you give them a little sneak peek
yes,
based on your explanation from before.
from
So
the Heat explanation. But I just felt like James Harden is going to have a better year this season, which he's shown that he is so far. Uh,
yep.
Embiid is going to be an Embiid form, providing obviously
Hmm.
this is all assuming no injury, no
Yeah,
injuries to the real.
perfect
Yeah,
scenario.
exactly. Tyrese Maxey is an emerging talent, and I think that he's going to provide some more punch for them offensively, especially. And they got PJ Tucker to add to the defense. I think they just have a great starting five. and providing that the starting five stays healthy, there's going to generate a lot of wins. I know it looks ugly right now, but this is a long season. Remember, I said it. This is a long season, and I believe the Sixers have the tools to make a number one seed. What though can put a spoke in that wheel is their bench. They got a little bit better on the bench. They've got the Anthony Melton from the Grizzlies, I would say, but they got they have Montrezl Harrell, six man former six man of the year. I think that the bench right now has to find some level of cohesiveness also. And once they do find that, I think they'll get rolling and be racking up wins because they just have I would say a pretty deep team, from one all the way to 15, and it's going to be a interesting season for them.
Nice. Peoples, if you got any contradiction, not contradictions, if you got anything contrary to what your boy Ray Bone was saying, remember the man's the king of predictions. So,
I don't know, man. Like, truthfully,
but hey,
predictions is a hard thing to do, and especially
yeah, for
for
sure.
something so far ahead in the future. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
and you
Exactly.
don't. And I would have made these predictions before the season actually started, so I didn't have any prior knowledge about who
This
how
was
the
just
season started.
based on history
Yeah,
and based on
why?
like
Yeah, what you
players and
think
the
is yeah,
lineups and
yeah,
everything
exactly,
like so
exactly.
hey, but last year you had some pretty good bang on predictions. So
Yeah, man.
peoples, if you got any other contrary insight on this prediction, put it down in the comments because we would love to see it. But we can try to move over to the West.
West.
Um,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say the West is as competitive as the East, but when you get closer to the top, you can
Hmm.
see some varying like talking points and topics that could definitely change between teams. So
Let me just yeah. So let me just
I
jump
said
right
it,
into it. Let me
yeah.
just get rid of this really fast. These lottery teams: Spurs, Rockets, OKC, Jazz, tanking. I don't have to say much about them, although, just a side note, given the current situation in the NBA, the Jazz are looking better than they're supposed to be. Um,
Mhm,
I took that into my assumption why they may have a better record than the Thunder, the Rockets, and the Spurs. The Spurs
yeah.
specifically are just they don't even you don't even know who's a player on it. You can't name one player on the Spurs right now. I can tell you that. The
Mhm,
Rockets still developing. OKC they're going to tank. The Chat got injured. I think that would have been an incentive to maybe try to win a little bit more games than they usually would, but that is out the window. And the Jazz have a team full of good players, like good, like decent players, good role players that could, when they all come together as a collective, could actually get some wins. And we've seen it
mhm,
happening already at the start of the season. Uh, they got two wins over some who are projected to be good teams.
mhm,
Um, so I think that is going to be a team until that's going to be a theme for the rest of the season for the Jazz until Danny Ainge decides to pull the plug and trade some of these players to better teams, so
mhm.
for some picks or something, so he could continue the tank.
Right.
Sacramento Kings. A lot of persons have hope for the Sacramento Kings this season. I am not too confident in this season. I don't see a team. Well, maybe the Trailblazers it would be an exception, and the Lakers. But I just think that the Trailblazers and the Lakers have a little bit more star punch. The players on their team a little bit have a little bit more, well, a lot more carry potential than the star players on the Kings. I surprise me, Kings. I think that's the most I can say. Surprise me and do better than what I expect. Because I don't see you beating up any of these other teams ahead of you with the talent that you
Yeah.
have. Maybe offensively, but the defense might be a little bit shaky. I project the other teams ahead to be better defensively and could still be better offensively, maybe with the exception of the Lakers. But uh, star power is a factor, and I don't think their star power has that carry potential as the other teams.
On to Portland.
Portland, Dame is back. Dame is putting the league on notice already. Back to back 41-point games already for the season. But in there, they would have made some moves in the offseason. Last year, got rid of CJ McCollum, something that I guess was going to happen eventually. Uh, Upgraded. I think they upgraded a bit on the defensive end. They got Jeremy Grant on both ways because Jeremy Grant is a good two-way player. They got back Yusuf Nurkic. Um, I think Dame is going to be coming back, with a type of vengeance, trying to put his team in the
Mhm.
best position possible. So that alone, I don't think that they will win a lot of games. Yes, they got better defensively slightly, but I think they will still go through the same issues. Yusuf Nurkic, one of the most important positions for defense is the center position, and he is, I would say, not that great, and they will continue to experience problems defensively. And I think that is why they will continue to have a lower seed than you would expect them to have, with the power of Dame Lillard on their side.
Right.
Again, I think that they could maybe go as far up as the 7th seed if all goes perfect, if they get a little bit more from people that we didn't expect to get from. But 10th seed seems like a reasonable spot to me. Uh, the Lakers, I I think the Lakers are becoming annoying to talk about now because it's the same story over and over. Everybody realizes Westbrook needs to go. I don't understand why the GM doesn't realize that and get rid of the picks. You gotta make what's best. You gotta make use of LeBron's playing time, make use of his existence on your team, and with Westbrook there, among other players too, it's not working out, and it's not going to work out. We're gonna see. I think we're just gonna have a repeat of last year for the Lakers. They'll make it.
Yeah.
This time, I think they'll just make it a little bit higher. I think that Anthony Davis, this might be going on a whim. I could get laughed at for this. Anthony Davis might be a little bit more healthier than he was last year, maybe, maybe. But
After you say the man is porcelain, the man is glass, all
yes,
this like hopefully he stays healthy because I would really be interested in seeing what Lakers could have been like
hmm
last year
hmm
with a healthy Anthony Davis. So hopefully
yeah.
he stays healthy.
But so far, he hasn't been looking too good in that department. Truthfully, this was my hope
Yeah.
before the season, but so far he's been looking like it's going sideways already. But who knows? It could it could very much just be, oh, they just need a trade, get some 3-point shooters, and this whole thing just they could blow all the way up to maybe a 5 seed depending on how it goes. But the Lakers still to me still the same problems plagued them as last year. Maybe they just got a little bit younger, but same issues. I think the same story going to be what unfolds again this season. The Suns, a lot of turmoil in the Suns. The whole Robert Sarver situation with the Suns owner, you know, um, getting well about trying to sell the team and all that. Turmoil in the locker room with the coach and players. Jay Crowder requesting a trade. DeAndre Ayton not happy with the situation. Not talking to his coach as he should. A whole set of stuff. CP3's regression. I think that all of those factors play into the Suns having a regression as compared to last year. This may be a bit much, but I think that it may go this far because all it takes is for CP3 to go down for this season, which I am predicting to happen. Not wishing any downfall on him as a player or him as a person. I just
Are
think
you
that
talking about health
health
wise
ways,
or
yes. This
performance?
is
Okay,
yeah, but performance included in this.
okay.
I don't know how well they mesh as a team, even though yes they have continuity from last year, pretty much a similar team, but their bench looks kind of horrible. Jay
Mhm.
Crowder is well, their best player on their bench now becomes a starter. They have some guys injured that are now coming back. They have some guys injured that were on the bench last year that are staying injured for the start of the season. I don't know for how long. The bench really just looks shallow. And last year, I referenced the Sun as a well-oiled machine. And the machine,
Mhm.
a well-oiled machine needs all its parts. And right now, for me, they're missing some parts, especially on the bench. And I don't think they would have as much success as they did last year. Maybe my A spot is overblowing it, but this is my prediction. I think that they might end up here, given the the concerns I have. The Grizzlies. I always bet low on the
Grizzlies.
Grizzlies, and they come and surprise me. I just personally don't see how the Grizzlies continue to do it. They're buying on
Yeah.
the developing players. No, no, I would say a job, but last year job was out for a good amount of time, and they still win a bunch of games. I
Yeah.
I just don't know how they're doing it, but they're doing it. But
I think they just work well together.
but as the
I
thing,
just
it's
think
not
like
a case where there's
they're
this.
like decent players that when they come together, like
Ah, I no, I don't know what it is. They got
no.
something out there. I yes, they work. They work well together, and yes, proving that they win 50 something games last year with Ja out. But I think it's
Mhm.
beyond that because they got so many injuries last year. Dylan Brooks was hurt. Darren Jackson was hurt. Jackson is hurt now again. I just still winning
Mhm.
games. I don't
Yeah.
get it. I don't know what's his secret, but
It's
it's
energy. It's
something.
all about energy.
Nonetheless, I think this is it might be luck too, but I don't know if
Yes.
luck does repeat so much over time. It could be, but
Uh,
we'll see. We'll see.
yeah.
John Morant is good enough to take them to a 7 seed alone. I just feel like they're missing that star power factor. They're going to be out of Jaron Jackson for a little bit. I think that plays a role on the defensive end. They still have Steven Adams on what's not, but like, ultimately, I just feel like Ja doesn't have the star power that he needs to push them further and to get some more wins. They have to bank on rookie rookie players to play well in order for them to get a higher seed. And I don't know how confident I am with saying that. Moving on
Okay.
quickly to the Mavs. The
Yeah.
Mavs, Luka Magic, they got Christian Wood, which I think is a great addition. I feel like the Mavs could be a lot higher depending on the gelling of I guess the new pieces on the team. Bringing back Tim Hardaway Jr. He should be a good fix, but he's probably going to need some time to get back himself acclimated with being on the court, etc., etc. I think they could go a lot higher, but I think there's a reasonable spot for them, considering I think Jalen Brunson was such a big factor for them being a secondary ball handler outside of Luca. If anything happens to Luca at all, I don't know what is going to happen with the team. They could plummet very far down. Truthfully, they could be one of those teams that just end up being in the 10th seed
Right.
just because of a Luca injury or anything like that. I think
Yeah.
six is a reasonable spot for them. Pelicans, Zion back. The Pelicans had a great postseason last year, and it was looking like the making of something good for the future. I think they're going to build on that, along with adding Zion back to the rotation. They could explode and go even further up in this in this seeding. I think five is a reasonable place for them. You know, still have some time for
Yeah.
cohesion. It's still a team that is still relatively young. Still have some figuring out to do. Um, but they could explode due to the fact that Zion is back. He could be a MVP candidate also, and even Brandon Ingram maybe. Who knows? Because Brandon
Yeah.
Ingram has
He
been
he
low key
performed.
balling out,
Yeah.
and a lot of people haven't been giving him the credit that he deserves. CJ McCollum steadying the ship. A lot could go well for the Pelicans. I think five is a reasonable spot for them. Clippers last year, I don't know how they got the AFC last year with the players that they had. They just had a bunch of decent role players and was able to capture the AFC. Adding back Paul George and Kawhi, I probably should have them maybe a little bit higher. But I just feel like Kawhi is going to load manage, coming back from the injury especially. Paul George may
Yeah.
miss some games, but they can go pretty far. They could end up being further than four, but I think four is reasonable, taking things into consideration. Have a great coach
Yeah.
and everything.
Hmm.
Timberwolves. Timberwolves added a man that is elite at generating regular season rings. Rudy Gobert. They're going to need some time to figure it out. But I just feel that when they do figure it out, when all the pieces come together, they're just going to be rolling. Just like the Sixers, they're just going to be
Hmm.
rolling and rolling over teams. They have a great bench. They have a deep team all the way from 1 to 15. The problem the problem that Rudy Gobert has come there to solve may be solved. Not too certain. Um, but I think he's such a big impact player that as the season progresses and they get more acclimated with him, a lot of wings are going to come for them, and they have the talent offensively and defensively to do to go pretty far in terms of the win total for the season. The Warriors, another well. I don't even call it. I don't even know if to call them a machine. They're beyond machine. They are like a living organism. I don't know. Like just a great organization from top to bottom, coaching staff, uh, the front office. They're going to generate a lot of wins with Steph Curry, Clay getting back to full health, Jordan Poole ascending, Andrew Wiggins on his side, Draymond Green being that defensive stalwart. The Warriors are going to find a way to win a lot of games. They may not be as enticed to try to go and get a number one seed, but I just think the systems that they have in place will just generate the wins for them. The philosophies that they have, moving without the ball, the defense that they played, just I think they just sort of are coming back from being a champion, defending champion. Also, I don't know how you forgetting to mention that of all things,
Yeah.
coming back and they gonna have a thirst for more. So I think they're gonna put their best forward, barring no injuries or anything like that. It's possible to happen, but I think they'll be in the top three in the West, at the least. And the Nuggets,
Number one.
Nikola Jokic last season generated 48 wins with a skeleton staff. That's what we call it, a skeleton staff, because those players that he had on his team are nowhere near the caliber of Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. And when we
Mhm.
last saw those guys together, they were playing exceptional basketball. I just feel like getting back those players, yes, they're gonna need some time to acclimate themselves, getting back on the court. Jamal Murray, especially being out for so long, but I just feel like when they get into groove, they're going to pick up a lot of wins on the second half of the season and be challenging for that number one seed. If Jokic alone could generate those wins on himself, I'm pretty sure Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray could add at least 10 more wins to that for the
Yeah.
way in season, putting them with 58 wins possibly for the season and the number one seed in the West.
Yeah.
Might be a little bit of a
But
hot take, banking on health, but that's where I see the Nuggets going this season.
in terms of like offense versus defense and the like acquiring those two players, like how does offense and defense change for that team?
Offense goes through the roof with those two players. Defensively, they made a trade. They got Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, KCP, from the Wizards,
Yeah.
and they got Bruce Brown. Two great defensive players that may be able to patch some holes on the wins that they might have had before. And I think Jokic has improved defensively. Watching him in the Euro League that happened over the summer,
Yeah.
I think that he would up his defensive play personally. The only person that I would really have concern about defensively maybe Michael Porter Jr. But the defensive personnel around him, Aaron Garden, great defensive two-way player. Uh, they have the defensive pieces there. So I don't think defense is as much as a worry. I don't think they'll be like a top five defense or anything like that. But I think they'll be
Great.
decent above
Enough.
middle of the
Yeah.
pack, maybe top 10 or so. Um, with the pieces that they have now, and they have a decent bench and they have a nice system, especially with Jokic.
Yeah.
They should have one of the best seasons that they had in a while, given that they're adding back two of their best players, to Jokic that won the MVP last season.
Why would you put them over Golden State, the defending champions, who, like you say, have a very good system going for them,
Um,
and for some reason always gets really close to that number one seed?
so
Why? Because Nuggets wasn't near Golden State and Suns
wait, because
in
last
terms
season, yeah, last season they were missing so many key players, so
right.
those key players are back now. And I feel building
Okay.
upon what Jokic would have done last year, and the new players that they got also increasing their defensive ability, I would say, or increasing their defensive ceiling. I think that that's just a product for more wins, given what we know Jokic could do on his own. On his own to some
Right.
extent, yeah. On the Warriors side, I think they're going through a phase now where they have to bridge the veteran players with the new players. So you got
Mhm.
Wiseman, Kaminga, Moody, Jordan Poole. They have to go through this little phase of giving them the reps to get their game up to par. And I think that it may take away from. I think there may be games where Steph Curry, for example, may be resting, trying to gear up for the postseason also. They're there
Right.
more and give those guys a chance to to be to be the more the focal point of the system because it's going to be like
Yeah.
a changeover in a sense as the Curry and Clay and Draymond get older. If he's even coming back, that's another story to talk about. But
Yeah.
I feel that they may be more incentives to develop players while having Steph and Clay and Draymond trying to go there for wins. So that balance between
Okay.
the two, I feel it would take them down a little bit in the standings,
Right.
given they have to bridge the
Yeah.
gap to some extent.
But that means then that you're not necessarily saying that Nuggets will be better than Golden State overall. It's just
No,
that because of those
yeah,
situations, they might fall on wins, and then Nuggets will
yeah,
be able to
yeah,
catapult themselves to number one seed.
yeah.
Well, people, there you have it. That's everyone's predictions. I got a few tweaks that I will make in my brain. Like I will probably put Golden State at the
Go
top
on.
because I feel with it improving Andrew Wiggins and um, all the other younger guys that are coming up and playing good basketball, that they will still be able to rack up the wins that they need. And then on the eastern side of things, I I don't know. I could put the 76ers at the top. I think I got Bucks and Celtics before 76ers. Or even 76ers could be between the two, but
Mhm.
hey, we'll see. Astro World, we are back to get to our bread and butter, the predictions, the market matchups. We posted our our first market matchup last week
Yep.
to start off the season, and we start with a clean slate. So the King has 0 points, and everybody else in the team had 0 points to start. And we made our predictions on three games: 76ers versus Celtics at Celtics, and we had Lakers versus Warriors at Warriors, and then the Suns versus Mavericks at the Mavs. So this is how the matchups basically went. The predictions basically went. Everybody vote for Celtics, which is no
Which is
brainer, you know.
understandable. Hey,
So that's understood as a no brainer, like you said. Then we had three of us who voted for Golden State. So myself, Rayvon, and Cody. Of course, your boy Hacks is gonna go for Lakers. I don't know. Just let it go, bro. Just let it go. Honestly.
we gonna
Uh,
play some Frozen.
so yeah, and then everybody else for the last matchup, which is between Mavs and Suns. Everybody else went for Mavs, and I was the only person that went for Suns. It was a close matchup, though. To be
Yeah,
honest
it
with you,
was.
I got lucky on that one.
Yeah, you really did because well, we can break it down. Actually, we just go straight into it. The
Yeah, go
Mavs
ahead.
at the Suns. That I watched that game. Well, I didn't get a yeah. I watched most of it. The Mavs were beating the hell out of the Suns. I
They
don't
were in
know.
control.
Yes,
Yeah,
for the whole game, it was looking like a repeat of the last game that they played a couple months back. Uh,
yeah,
Game 7 of the Western Conference semis.
right.
Absolute destruction. But I think the Suns that that pull of being in the Suns, I was like, nah, this can't happen again. And those guys
Yeah,
fought and fought till they got the lead and won that game. It's inspiring to see for a team that I am projecting to be number 8 at the end when it's all said and
yeah,
done. It's already looking bad because a team that is in so much turmoil probably wouldn't have pulled out that win, but they may have more cohesion than I expected. But
yeah.
a thrilling game came down to the wire. Execution. One thing that the Suns did last season was execute in crunch time, and that has not gone away. Uh,
Yeah. Well, in regular season.
in the regular season, yes, in the regular season, good looking there. So it was a fun match. Luca was Luca. I don't know what
Yeah.
else you could say, but they faltered in the end defensively. Uh, couldn't hold up. Devin Booker was somewhat cooking and after the halftime break because he probably flipped the switch and realized nah,
Yeah.
this can't happen again. I like the fact that the Suns were featuring DeAndre Ayton a little bit more, which is one of the things that would have created the issues that they were experiencing in the locker room. DeAndre Ayton feeling that he should deserve more of the offensive share. Good to see
Mhm.
that they're making a point to do it, and I think it will pay off well for them in the long run either way. So that was evident in this game also. Mikal
Great.
Bridges couldn't really do much to Luka, but he had a pretty decent offensive performance. Cam Johnson was late so at the start of the game, even though they were struggling. Um, so yeah, kudos to the Suns for coming back. Spoiled my predictions from being a perfect week, but gotta give props where it's
Hey,
due. Big ups and
hey,
hands on the perfect week.
I learning, bro. I
Yeah,
learning.
yeah, I see you, I see you, I see you. But yeah, man, the Suns got a spirited win to start the season.
Yeah. Lakers picked up where they left off. Warriors did the same. So the
Yeah,
prediction was pretty
pretty
straightforward.
straightforward.
And then,
The shooting was
you know,
atrocious.
76ers still need to um, get a little bit of time before they can actually start punching out these wins.
Yeah,
So Celtics as a team that already
yeah,
existed before
yeah. That was
don't
my
really
yeah,
have
that was my
that.
prediction too
Yeah,
because I didn't feel like it
exactly.
was the case where James Harden and B would have come in clicking. Everybody would have just come in clicking off this, and I think there's a team, even though they have some continuity from last season with their starting players. I think they need a little bit of time. I think part of it too is coaching. Um, After I watched that game from start to finish, and Doc River is not putting emphasis on what is working best for James Harden and Embiid as pick and roll partners. But again, that could be on James Harden because I still found that James Harden in that game had those Houston Houston days, ISOs where he boom 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 dribbling through the legs, just everybody just tying up in the corner around here, and nothing
Mhm.
happening, and you just put in your whole offense into James Harden's hand to make a shot. When he doesn't make it, it ends up being a bad possession because if you had just a
Right.
little bit more movement, and that was something that Doc Rivers was talking about, having more movement. Don't let the ball get stuck, especially James Harden trying to prove that he's still that player.
Right.
So that's one of the keys that it would be big for the Sixers going on into the season, making sure that James Harden would have to make sure that he doesn't get carried away in trying to be the player that he once was, and kind of disrupting the offensive flow because of that.
That's fair. That's a fair point. Well, peoples, we got predictions for um, for next week. So next week prediction team matchups actually are going to be Dallas versus New Orleans at New Orleans, Nets versus Bucks. Yeah, we think we know how that's going to go, and then Cavs versus Boston Celtics. We're not going to make our predictions here. Head over to Instagram during the week, and you guys will see our predictions, and hopefully you guys can make comments on that. It's at Hastrobros if you weren't sure about that. Um, Switching gears, people talking about gears
Vroom,
we
vroom.
can switch we can switch to F1. We haven't talked about F1
In a while.
because we're not online. And we missed a lot, and there's a lot of things to talk about, but we're not going to touch on all of that stuff today in this episode. Just going to touch on a few things and highlight a few things. Max Verstappen securing his second F1 championship. Now, there's still some
Yep.
questions and some like a bunch of talks and rumors and all kind of stuff going on with budget cap from 2021 season. Could you imagine that the 2022 season is done, but the 2021 season still have a lot of questions from that infamous finale? So,
Hmm.
hey, Max Verstappen secure his second F1 championship if things change. Well, I guess he already secured his first anyway. So hopefully, like it doesn't go out of hand and there's like championship switchovers and all of that. I mean, it honestly could have been a closer fight. Probably at this point in the season wouldn't be over as yet, especially for the constructors. I Red Bull has made mistakes early on, and they got that fixed. Like they had the same mistakes that everybody had, or I should say woes, because it's not really mistakes.
Hmm.
Like everybody's engines were failing early on in the season. The first half of the season, everybody was trying to figure out this new engine and parts and all that kind of stuff. So everybody had issues. Red Bull got theirs figured out. There was also that porpoising issue that plagued Mercedes
Hmm.
and some other teams as well, and the FIA stepped in and implement some strategies in order to deal with that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Rebel did a really good job in, I guess, executing, like you said, this season,
Yeah.
and their constructor championships as of today race. So that's the other part. But like you said, Ferrari though, it's been a mixture, a blend of bad luck, of poor
Poor
decision
execution.
making,
Yeah.
and I don't understand how a team at that level could be making some basic mistakes like that, and it has Carlos Sainz, people would have had questions about his performances and stuff, but he was plagued with a lot. And not gonna lie, a lot of stuff that even wasn't his fault. Remember back in Imola where he crashed out, wasn't even his fault. In Austria at the Rebel Ring, car just failed, caught on fire, failed. So and today as well, like not even his fault. George Russell just plunged in the corner, hit him, spun him out, broke some compartment that allowed like some oil to leak, coolant actually to leak from the car, and so he couldn't continue after putting on a stunning performance to get
Yeah,
pole
Paul.
position.
Yeah.
So like it's been a lot of things on top of a lot of things, and poor decision making on top of those issues surely didn't help. And Red Bull was able to run away with the championship. We still got a big fight for second place though. I mean, Sergio Perez, Carlos Sainz, George Russell, and Charles Leclerc. So hey, we you can see a ding dong battle for second place. Who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the battle for second is never as exciting for
that's
first.
true. That's
So
true.
it
That's
just
true.
feel like oh, the season is it just ended so quickly because Max just dominated everybody and like is on
Yeah,
track to probably break the record for most wins in the season uh, come next Grand Prix. So
yeah,
it's sad. I feel like right now the outlook F1 for these last few races is just everybody trying to get ready for next season because
yeah.
it just feel like there ain't really much to fight for because it was such a dominant
Yeah,
performance for Red Bull, and it's sad
exactly.
to see it go. It is good for Max, but sad for the sport to see it go in such a fashion. Um,
Yeah.
along with that,
It's
things
still
that
a lot to fight for, to
well,
be
yes,
honest.
yes,
'Cause, yeah,
in terms of positioning, but
yeah.
again, the fight for
Lewis
second.
still hasn't won for the season
Yeah,
as
well,
yet
that's true.
either.
I was just gonna say
So yeah,
Lewis has obviously an internal fire to make sure he secures a win for the season. So I know he's going to be pushing the Mercedes guys to make sure that he could trade well, himself to try to get a
yeah,
win. When was the last time Lewis went in a season and didn't have a win?
yeah,
Like
exactly. Yeah.
it probably feels
From
so
from
foreign to
from
him.
seven-time world champion,
Yeah, to no
from
win at all.
almost getting
Number eight.
the EF
Yeah,
championship to not getting a win.
yeah,
It's a new era.
yeah,
So far Red Bull has been on top.
yeah.
Mercedes has continued to climb and get closer
Hmm.
to match the speed and performance of the Red Bulls and the Ferraris and stuff like that. Um, but there's still a lot to fight for in terms of the
Yeah.
constructors. People are going to be jostling for
Hmm.
position and stuff like that. So a lot of money to be won still.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to the final three races. It's going to be exciting. We got Brazil, then we got Mexico, and then we got Abu Dhabi, I believe. So looking
I
forward to
guess
that.
I guess for me as a more casual fan of F1, I guess
Yeah,
it seems like the dominance of Max Verstappen has just taken away the excitement that could have been if it was a little bit closer. Um,
yeah,
so another thing that I was thinking about, interested to see what happens with Daniel Ricciardo. Um, I don't know what's your thoughts on that. Truthfully, because you got a
yeah.
lot of new faces coming in. You got. I
Yeah,
think you still got at least two seats open. I don't know. You may be able to tell me, or one. I don't think he's trying to race with Williams. That's for sure. So,
yeah. He's turned on those offers.
uh-huh,
I think is fitting, to be honest. He hasn't performed since he left
Red
Red
Bull.
Bull. I mean,
Hmm.
he had a few good showings when he was at Renault,
Hmm.
when Alpine wasn't Renault, when Renault was Alpine
Yeah.
type of
Oh yeah.
thing. He had a win in was that race in Germany,
Hmm.
I believe. So, since like he also got a win from McLaren last
Hmm.
season
Hmm.
in Monza
Yeah.
when they went 1-2. But since then, and especially for the entire season, he hasn't showed face.
Yeah.
Like
Not
Lando
that.
has been outperforming
Yeah.
him. I think the last best
Hmm.
performance he had was, and this is not counting any mishaps that would have put him in their favor. This is talking about legit good performance
Hmm.
was in Australia.
Hmm.
when they went 4-5, I believe. So I think it's fitting. Maybe he should take a break, rethink. I don't know if he'll come back. He'll probably not leave motorsport though. There's like IndyCar
Yeah,
and maybe some other type of racing that he could get into.
yeah,
But for sure,
yeah,
McLaren dismissing him or him leaving McLaren, whatever the agreement
yeah,
was, I think is fitting for Daniel
yeah,
Ricciardo right now.
yeah.
It's a new era
Yeah, I
on
think
the
that's it.
rise
Personally, I
in
don't think
terms of
that
drivers.
because he's had
Yeah,
so many experiences, so many other places, I don't see why another team would want to take the chance on him at this point in his career.
exactly. Exactly. Like,
Truthfully.
he hasn't performed to a level where people will be saying, "Hey, we want you." I feel like Williams was saying, "Hey, come over," because like he's experienced.
Hmm.
They want that experience,
Yeah.
but who wants to be at the back of the pack, right?
Exactly. Exactly. For him, he ain't trying to be doing that.
Exactly. And since he left Red Bull, it's been a downhill spiral. To be honest, for Daniel Ricciardo, we have Sebastian Vettel
Retiring.
retiring
Yeah.
this year.
Hmm.
He,
I
he
don't
hasn't
know.
led
Wait.
laps for a long time, and he did today, so that was a good look for him, I guess.
So when Alonso can retire, make some room for
Uh,
somebody
well,
else, man.
well, Alonso retired before, and Alonso came back.
All right, but when he
But
can retire
he
again.
had the bug. He had he had the bug. I mean, he's performing at a very high level
Yeah, well,
still.
he is.
Um, I I don't see retirement in his radar right
Hmm.
now. I
Hmm.
feel like he's still got a good 2-3 seasons left in him before he starts to slow down, or before these young bucks come in
Exactly, that's what he's
and knock
saying. I
him
feel
out.
like I feel
Because
like that might be the thing. But he perform,
yeah,
as you say, he performing at a pretty high level given the tools that he got to work with at the moment. So I don't see it
exactly.
happening that way at the moment. But next
Right.
year is a
Well,
different. There might be a different story.
yeah. Next year might be a different beast for sure because he's moving to Aston Martin
Okay.
because Vettel is going to
Hmm.
vacate that seat,
Hmm.
and Aston Martin has been making steady progress as well.
Hmm.
So I still think there's room for improvement for Aston Martin. Hopefully, they can get in the fight for the mid position
Hmm.
constructors in terms of fighting Alpine and McLaren and who else might be up there, um, Alfa Romeo.
Hmm.
So looking forward to those fights for sure. Um, Nick DeVries, I believe, is
Yeah.
going to drive for Williams. He in Monza he had a very good race. Like he filled in for Alex
Yeah.
Albon,
Yeah. That was
and
a
he got
good first
points.
race. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
like he worked up Nicholas Latifi,
Hmm.
which I think is a who I think sorry is a another person that doesn't really deserve to be um in F1 as an F1 driver only because he hasn't really matched his teammate.
Hmm.
Like if he was matching his teammate and just coming short like a couple tenths or hundredths of a second or whatever, I could understand it might be hard to, send him home, but he hasn't been performing at the level Alexander Albon has been performing. And it seems like that's a trend between the teams. Like you have one guy who's getting the maximum performance out of
Out of
the
the
car.
vehicle.
If you look
Hmm.
at Red Bull, Max Verstappen is
Hmm.
out front, miles ahead of Sergio
Yeah.
Perez, right? In some cases, you got Charles Leclerc getting more out of the car than
Try to
Carlos Sainz,
sing.
even though Carlos Sainz will have some days where he's better overall. But you continue to see this pattern. Lando Norris again ahead of Daniel Ricciardo by miles. Alexander Albon again ahead of Nicholas Latifi. So I think the people who are leaving, I think is fitting to be honest for the
Okay.
sport. Pierre Gasly should be leaving AlphaTauri
Hmm.
and heading over to Alpine because Fernando Alonso is leaving Alpine to go to Aston
Aston
Martin.
Martin.
So
Hmm.
that seat is vacated. So they're doing a little swap in the grid. Um, Next year is looking pretty interesting
Hmm.
because we got a few new
New
faces.
faces. Yes. Right.
Um, so that's looking up.
And I think there's an
It,
additional race now. There's another race now that's supposed to be coming next year.
bro, to quickly touch on that, right? I don't think they should add another race, but I think this is all a part of the marketing
Yeah, of
for the
course.
US because it's like 3 races in the
It's
US.
just,
I
it's just
see
gonna
where this is
say,
going,
yeah, like
right? Yeah.
That's what you're saying. I didn't even know that, like me coming from a space, I didn't used to follow F1 as much. When I see that
Mhm.
this race was in Austin, I was like, them just had a US race already for the year.
In Miami.
Exactly in Miami.
Yeah.
Why? And them saying and they're saying Las Vegas next year. So Miami, Austin, Las Vegas.
But if you look at the pattern when they had a race in Austin, I think the year before, Miami was under construction, and then now Vegas is, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
on the
So
construction. So you may
I
by
yeah,
but next year is 2023. By 2024, they ain't got a fourth one. You can hear,
I
oh,
guess
this in
so.
construction. What?
But I
Oh my god.
understand that they're trying to appeal to the American market a bit more. Two races in America is good enough, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
You
Like,
don't need to add a third one just because you want to go bigger and better, I
but
guess.
does any other
They got
country have
consider the
multiple races?
drivers. Yeah. Italy has multiple races, and I think Italy. I can't remember if any other countries
That's what
have
he's
two,
thinking.
but Italy have two. But like they also got to consider drivers and teams.
They
When
travel.
you in F1,
Yeah,
right? You away from your family and
yeah,
friends and everything because you're constantly traveling week after week
yeah,
after week,
yeah.
trying to get to the next spot to set up to get ready for that race to perform at a high level. So if you keep on adding races, the time that the drivers and the team and whoever else are going to be off is going to be shorter and shorter and shorter,
Yeah.
and it's going to take a toll on these people to perform at a high level. I feel like if they continue to do that, some teams might start to, um, I guess, take breaks, like not race a certain driver this week.
Yeah.
I might not even put 100% effort in trying to get
Load
a win or
management.
whatever. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, um, I hope that the drivers could manage it and could handle it, and the teams will be able to continue to perform at that high level. But I feel like if it continues to happen, if somebody wins early, like Max will say, "Hey, look, I tired. I'll skip the last two races, or skip the second last race and race the final race,
Yeah.
obviously because of the location it might be in, right? Abu Dhabi,
Yeah.
always bringing in a lot of money. People will pay to watch Max race, and that that's a funny thing too. Like you can't just choose which race you don't want to do because people paying to come see you.
Exactly. This
So
sounds like
so
the
if you
NBA
don't,
problem.
yeah, you understand. So like if you don't show up, then people get asked back for money, lose revenue, all that kind of stuff. But hey, it's been a crazy season so
Yeah,
far.
man.
So looking forward to 2023 already.
Yeah,
To
for
be
sure.
honest, yeah.
For sure. But I think
I don't know if you got any other comments about F1 so far, but that's basically it.
yeah. I think that's it for the guys.
Yeah,
Anything else on anything else that you want to share?
West Indies though.
Man,
West
everyone could
Indies.
be like,
Ah!
uh, everyone could day.
For all you cricket fans out there, oh my god, how I never thought that I would have seen the day that we would have plummeted this far down.
Me neither.
To be
But
honest,
I mean,
it's
we could see glimpses of the plummet, but we didn't think that it would have. Yeah, it would have
you
been
know what
this
I mean.
bad.
Like
Yeah.
we can see the
Yeah.
turbulence, but we can't expect the man to
Yeah.
crash like this,
Exactly.
man.
Exactly.
But hey, man, I wish I had my boy Cody today because I know he would have added some elements that fans would have probably enjoyed.
For
But yeah,
sure, man.
that's very disappointing.
Eh,
The
eh,
West Indies to fall like that.
But
Hopefully, they can rise again. Who
yeah,
knows?
yes. If that was just gonna say, sometimes it's got fall to get back up better than before. So
Yeah,
maybe this is just the fears of West Indies cricket that are going through. They had a time in in, in victorious Glanda. Uh,
yeah. I mean,
back in the
they had the
yeah,
moments, you
yeah,
know.
exactly. They had moments in
But
more recent times too. Um,
yeah,
but they probably just need to crash to be reborn again.
Yeah, so hopefully like the Phoenix, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully. So yeah, but that was the only other thing that I had.
Yeah, man.
Excited for this week of
Yeah, for
NBA.
sure.
I got to get back in the rhythm of watching NBA and
Yeah,
stuff
man.
again. So yeah, excited to be back, peoples. Thank you so much for joining the Hostile Bros today. I want you guys to show massive love to your boy Ray Vaughn for
Yes, sir.
getting
Yes,
us
sir.
back up and running. Really appreciate your efforts, my brother.
Yeah, man. You
So,
too, man. You gotta big it yourself too, cause it ain't only me.
uh,
It ain't only me.
I know, boy. Last couple of weeks was
Yeah,
really
yeah,
busy and
yeah,
really
man.
hectic, and I was trying, but hey, hopefully moving forward, peoples, we could get more of this content to you guys, and
Yeah.
hopefully you stick around. Thanks for watching again, and it's been your boy Hans. It's been your boy Ray Vaughn. We signing out, people. See you
Yeah.
guys next week.